Hello and welcome to Coin Chief. My name is Ian and I aim to demystify cryptocurrency for those new or less familiar with the industry. In today's news piece, I'm going to cover whales buying the dip, old money hates Bitcoin, ChainLink hitting an all-time high, investment funds buying more Bitcoin, and of course, as always, price updates. With that, let's jump right in. And we'll start things off tonight with MicroStrategy. You've probably heard of them if you've been in the cryptocurrency space for any time. But the headline here, this is from Bitcoin.com. Great URL, by the way. Buying the dip, multi-billion-dollar MicroStrategy invests 10 million more in Bitcoin. So whales bought the dip, and MicroStrategy would be, as far as I know, the biggest whale out there. See, I want to go to this quote first. This is from MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy has purchased approximately 314 Bitcoins for 10 million in cash in accordance with its Treasury reserve policy at an average price of approximately $31,808 per Bitcoin. And we now hold approximately 70,784 Bitcoins. So the whales are buying the dip. You can see it right there. They have that much Bitcoin, so something to keep an eye on. They're definitely growing. So moving on. And in the second piece here, we got another whales buying the dip article. Institutions keep buying Bitcoin's dip despite near-term volatility data. This is from NASDAQ.com. And we got a nice whale tail there. That's just wonderful. Okay, from the article, quote, data from on-chain data site Glassnode shows the number of addresses with 1,000 or more Bitcoin, often called whales. And I looked this up. I'm going to show a picture here in a second. I've always wondered what defines a whale. Continued to increase this week while Bitcoin's price dropped, dipping below 30,000 on Thursday. The count of such addresses dropped in late December has spiked again since the beginning of 2021. Okay, and then further on, we're hearing from South Korea-based blockchain analytics firm CryptoQuant, who they look at all kinds of data from the network. They say, however, the ratio of Bitcoin transfers involving all exchanges to all Bitcoin's transfers network-wide, that's bad writing there, has not gone up, indicating that most transactions were done through over-the-counter deals, a preferred approach by institutional investors. So there you see it. Their institutions are still buying, and so don't get fooled. Don't get suckered into selling your Bitcoin because some institution is, I guarantee you, buying the dip while you're happy to sell your Bitcoin to them. And here's the picture. I was mentioning this from Wikipedia. I just looked up what is a Bitcoin whale, and I kind of always heard it was over 1,000 Bitcoin, which that's a lot of Bitcoin. I think you're typically talking institutions here. Anyway, you can see this. You see humpback whale is 5,000 Bitcoin or more. It would be interesting to know how many of those are out there. Might be able to pull that from Glassnode. Maybe I'll take a look at that at some point. Whale is 1,000 to 5,000. Shark is 500 to 1,000. Dolphin is 100 to 500. Fish 50 to 100. Octopus 10 to 50. Crab 1 to 10. I can't speak for everybody out there, but I'm gonna assume if you're listening to me talk about Bitcoin on YouTube that you're trying to reach crab status just like me. So I am a sad little shrimp down here. So there we have it. And then more old money hates Bitcoin news. We have Harvard economics professor, governments will not allow Bitcoin on a big scale and they will win. Now, not surprised by this, but then I took a look at it. Harvard professor of economics and former chief economist at the International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund is, it's a derivative of Bretton Woods a long time ago. So, of course, he's going to want governments to win and fiat to take over. Anyway, I'm going to go on down to his quote here. He says, and this one will blow you away a little bit. There's sort of an ultimate question of what's the use? Is it just valuable because people think it's valuable? That is a bubble that would blow up. Well, Kenneth Rogoff, I got news for you. I have I have the same concerns, and I think many other people do about dollars. And if you live in a less powerful country than the United States, you're probably asking that even more so. What's the ultimate? What is the ultimate use? Okay, moving on though. He says, I can see Bitcoin being used in failed states. It already is. It's conceivable it could have some use in a dystopian future. It already does. Nonetheless, he emphasized, I think governments are not going to allow pseudonymous transactions on a big scale. They're just not going to allow it. Sounds like wishful thinking on his part. He says it's a hedge against dystopia. And I highlighted again that he's the former IMF chief economist. I don't really need to say much more about these last two articles. I think they speak for themselves on where they stand. So, they're going to hate what they can't control and what's going to throw them out of power. So, moving on. And in old money hates Bitcoin news, you'll see this is a continuing trend. I showed a article the other day from the Motley Fool where they were just really ripping on Bitcoin, and I initially wasn't going to show this article because I only skimmed over it, and I thought they were agreeing with my proposition from the other day where I was talking about Bitcoin stocks. Turns out that's not the case. I looked closer at it, and they're actually taking the exact opposite tack. So you see here, this guy says, here, while there are smart ways to get rich from Bitcoin, I believe there are also 3 awful ways to invest in this craze. And then he mentions Riot Blockchain, and he goes over some reasons why he says they're not a great idea. Then he talks about the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which blows me away because I think that's one of the most awesome ways. I own several $100s worth of it in one of my brokerage accounts, and then he goes on to say that buying Bitcoin directly is a bad idea. So I'm gonna keep my eye on Motley Fool because I don't know what's going on over there. I assume it's because it's a traditional, they give traditional stock advice, so their model is dependent upon people wanting stocks, wanting dollars, whatever. So that would kind of make them, you're naturally going to hate something that's threatening to overthrow what you're getting rich off of. And in investment fund news, we got a piece from CoinDesk here. It says, why did Bill Miller and his son buy MicroStrategy debt? It's the Bitcoin. We start off here. They say taking part in MicroStrategy's recent $650 million convertible senior note offering was basically getting an almost free call option on Bitcoin, Bill Miller IV, the son of legendary investor, said. Him and his dad co-manage the income strategy fund for Miller Value Partners, which is headed by the older one. He's a noted Bitcoin bull. In a letter to investors, the younger Miller said, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset over 8 of the past 10 calendar years, and its annualized performance has blown away the next best performer, the NASDAQ, by a factor of 10 over the past decade, Miller wrote along with. Who write? Do they even edit these things? CoinDesk, if you're out there, give me a call. I could write for you guys or edit it on the site. And then they also say not owning Bitcoin has been a massive mistake, and we expect that will continue to be true. And I don't think they're talking about themselves. I imagine if they're this fired up about Bitcoin, that they already own some themselves. They're probably saying that in general to their people that get their letter. But basically, these guys, through exposing their company or their fund to some MicroStrategy debt, has basically got kind of like second party exposure to Bitcoin, so they expect they will be able to reap the benefits from that. And in ChainLink price news, ChainLink hit a record high price over the weekend. They're above $25 at around 15:30 UTC Saturday. They hit a record peak of $25.51. The price was down a little bit on Sunday. I checked it a few minutes ago. It was still in the $24 range. Going to check it again here in a second before we wrap up the episode. It's up 105% since January the 1st. And a year ago, it was trading at between $2 and $3. That's really awesome news. I do own a little bit of Link. It's not a large amount, but I know I got it for far less than $24. Hopefully I got it under 10. I really don't remember. I'd have to go and look because I've moved it around, bouncing around to a couple of different exchanges since I initially bought it, but that's great news. Thanks for watching. I create this type of content consistently, so if you enjoy it and want to see more, please like and subscribe. It really helps. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.